Imagine this. The scene, a venue somewhere in California. The composer, not quite 27 years old, eagerly seated in the booth, eyes sharp on his score papers. The conductor, a proficient violinist, aged 26, son of one of Hollywood's finest practitioners of film music. The musicians, a boisterous group of mostly young non-union performers. What they all lacked in experience, they made up for with enthusiastic energy and vigorous vitality.
This is Space Cowboy, S.O.S. Mayday. Help!
Hello, my name is Chris Malone, and this morning, today, or tonight, we're diving into the score for the 1980 film Battle Beyond the Stars. It's swashbuckling space opera music prepared by a young chef with the same ingredients as Star Wars and Star Trek the Motion Picture. Battle Beyond the Stars is James Horner's second full-length feature film score, and it was likely that it was the first that was available in September of 1980. With a delightful galloping main theme, killer action music, and a really nice love theme, let's dive in and take a look.
I eat serpents 7 times a week.
Scripted by John Sayles in just 3 days, story-wise, Battle Beyond the Stars is basically the Seven Samurai set in space. More accurately, it's the Magnificent Seven set in space. It even includes Robert Vaughn playing a clone of his role in the Magnificent Seven. The plot, it's simple. A young hero with a slightly unusual name recruits a group of mercenaries with slightly unusual names from different worlds to defend his home planet with Akira Kurosawa's name from an evil tyrant, also with a slightly weird name. Battle Beyond the Stars was made by Roger Corman's independent company, New World Pictures, for the princely sum of $2 million, according to the filmmaker. It's one of the most expensive films of some 385 of them, give or take a few, that the dollar-conscious Corman made. Most of the budget apparently went to the salaries of established performers Robert Vaughn and George Peppard. By comparison, Star Wars cost $11 million. Battle should therefore mathematically look and sound about a fifth as good as that adventure set in a galaxy far, far away. But special effects-wise, it's actually pretty remarkable, thanks to the work of future blockbuster filmmaker James Cameron. With James Cameron on visual effects, Gail Ann Hurd in production management, and James Horner writing music, it's of significance that 6 years later, these three would re-team, metamorphosed as A-list filmmakers for Aliens. From there, it was films attracting more and more commercial success and critical acclaim. Cameron and Horner would further collaborate again for Titanic and Avatar, both small little art house films you probably never saw, but it all started with Roger Corman's stable at the turn of the 1980s.
While life exists, the possibilities are unlimited.
The elephant in the room with this soundtrack is how often it seems like the performers are simply unable to meet the notes on the page. Trumpets hit wrong pitches, run out of air, and occasionally give up entirely. A lack of additional players making it impossible to perform at all. French horns misjudge dynamics. Violins lack cohesion and sometimes perform as soloists rather than a section. Yet low woodwinds, tuba, and particularly trombones are strong and on point. James Horner needed to work with an orchestra of mostly young players that were not affiliated with the American Federation of Musicians in order to meet the meager budget afforded to him. He spent it all on the orchestra. And Horner had under 2 days to record 1 hour of music somewhere off the I-5 highway. If he was lucky, he was able to capture more than a single take, following the briefest of rehearsals and instructions. Occasionally, it was 2 takes. On the rarest of occasions, another one. This isn't James Horner's fault. The clock was always running, and the studio chatter conveys the sense of urgency. It too is rushed and truncated. At one point, Horner pleads with the orchestra over the talkback microphone. They have 6 minutes left, just enough time to secure a good take of the end title. Yet, having gone carefully through each channel of the 24-track recording masters bar by bar, which in itself takes longer than Horner had to perform it, it's acutely obvious to me, and hopefully to you as the final listener, that the composition, craft, and attentiveness to each section of the orchestra far outweighs any deficiencies in performance and missteps behind the recording desk. But good on James Horner and David Newman for being so courteous with their musicians despite these constraints. And good on Roger Corman for seeing the value in great film music and promoting the talent capable of delivering it.
Do you like it? There's no dog in this.
Over 40 years now since Battle Beyond the Stars hit cinemas, the musical takeaways still resonate. The lucidity of composition, the deployment of leitmotifs that clearly delineate good versus evil, and the selection of instrumentation all form the genesis of what was to come from James Horner in the years immediately ahead. As Star Trek II film producer Robert Sallin keenly observed, someone who was young, eager, and technically accomplished was exactly what Horner was, and meant he was pretty much destined to hit the A-League in very short order. And we can extend Robert Sallin's observations to most of the people involved with making this film who were, quote, full of energy and raw ambition, end quote, as assistant art director Alex Hadju would later recall. Taken as a whole, Battle Beyond the Stars is an ambitious film that often belies its budget, and James Horner's score is no exception. The composer fitted the epitome of Roger Corman's creed for elevating talent that was hard-working, intelligent, and creative. Despite the constraints of a rambunctious and lively performance, hindered by technical recording quirks, which resulted from the same root cause of limited time and limited budget, this stands as an extraordinary space adventure score.
Live fast, fight well, and have a beautiful ending.
Hear me, beings of Earth. I possess a stellar converter. A very, very good converter. You can possess a stellar 2 CD set. You cannot resist.
You know, whatever anyone thinks of this film or its music, one aspect Battle Beyond the Stars definitively does better than Star Wars is to pass the Bechdel test and have 2 named female characters actually interact. That's a plus. Now, Sador.
Sador!
I mean, Savor. Now Savor, this fun 1980s film music, freshly expanded for the first time. Available to add to your soundtrack collection, courtesy of the efforts of Intrada Records. Thanks for watching. Happy listening.